Hi everyone, so it's time to start embellishing some of my flowers in my vase. This is week 2 of our first prompt, and look at this beautiful, lovely, bright display of awesomeness. So this is, I've just been pulling threads, just picking some threads that I think the colours might go with the flowers. Well, not the flowers, because I need more colours than this. There's more colours in the flowers, but that they'll go with the first flower that I'm going to work on. So if you don't like neon bright, super bright colours, well, you need to look away, because that's what I'm working with. So I'm going to show you the flower I'm going to start with. I don't know that I'll use all these threads. I've just pulled a bunch that I really liked that I think will suit the project. Hang on, I'm just going to get another one of my little bowls to put these all in. They look pretty in the bowls too. In fact, the bowl colours suit the colours that I'm pulling of the different threads. So the first flower that I'm working on is this one. I have finished stitching the vase. I could do a few more stitches, but I'm going to focus on this flower here. So I haven't stitched down the whole floral piece yet. It's actually pinned everywhere, so I've got to be careful that I don't prick myself with a pin. But I'm going to start with this beautiful flower. So these flowers are going to take me a while. I certainly don't think I'm going to get it done in 3 weeks, which is when we get to our next prompt, 3 more weeks of this. But I think I'll start with this one, and I'll just keep playing with it as I go. So there's so many options here, and where to begin is the hard thing to work out. I am thinking I'm just going to start right in the middle with these little coloured bits in the middle of the flower, and I thought I'd do some messy French knots. So these would be good for my yellow. And I deliberately want to, it's a bit greeny, that one. I deliberately want to use some different threads, different fibres, to give it a feel of different textures. So I'm just going through my threads and seeing which ones that might go really nicely. See which ones will work in this. That is nice. I'm not going to do that in the middle. I might do that a bit more around the outside. That is really beautiful. Look at that. That's like the perfect colour, but I think I'm going to do that maybe there. And that one could go. I might do that one instead of that one, because I want to do French knots, and that's a nice 4-ply wool. And this one might go as well. So look there, those colours are good. So let's keep these ones in a bowl. And let's start off with that one. So messy French knots. I will use a milliner's needle so that it's easy to do the French knots. Okay. This is a very large piece. Hang on, let me need to move a couple of things away. I'm going to get a new milliner's needle. Use one of these ones. It is size 1, this one. It's quite a long one. And I'm pretty sure I should be able to thread it, yes. That went through quite well. It's a little bit of the in-between colour. So on this, I'm going to do a variety of stitches. I want to get some texture. And I think I'm going to do quite a bit of beading and couching and thread painting, but I'm not going to cover the full thing. Imagine if I thread painted and beaded and stitched on every flower, it would take me a year. So I'm going to do bits and pieces, and it's very hard working on such a big piece. when you watch Rachel's video, see, that's hard to get through. I'm already coming through a lot of layers there. When you watch Rachel's video, you'll see what her solution is. So I want them to be a bit chunky, so I've gone for 3 wraps there. This is hard to get through. I'm not going to be perfectly going over each colour exactly where the colour is. I'm just going to randomise it. Hopefully it looks okay and not like a dog's breakfast. I'm going to take that pin out. It keeps getting me. I probably should find my quilter's hoop. That might be easier if I frame it up in the hoop. I could put my snap frame on actually. That might be easier for me in terms of embroidery. I'll just do a bit of this and then I might put my snap frame on. Okay, so just to explain French knots, you pull the thread up through the fabric, wrap. You can wrap 1, 2, 3 times, whatever you want. I'm going 3. And then you don't go down through the exact same hole, you go just next to it. If you go through the exact same hole, you're at risk of pulling your thread through. It'll make a knot, but it will pull through, potentially. So I go just slightly next to it. And the milliner's needles, as if you've watched me before, you'll know why I'm using them. They're good for your wrap threads, like your French knots, because the eye is the same thickness as the shaft as the needle, so it makes it easier to pull through. Especially when I'm going through so many layers, it's easier to pull it through. Now with this wool thread, I've made it probably longer than I should have. I tend to do that all the time, make it a little bit too long. And because it's going through the friction of, there's a layer of wool under here, there's 1, 2, 3 extra layers of fabric, including this one on top, which is a linen. It is going through a lot of layers of fibre. So you can see the wool gets a little bit fluffy. It kind of has little bits pulled off it. And eventually they can weaken. Like you could give it a good tug to get it through and it just snaps. Generally, I've probably made this too long. I probably should have made it a bit shorter. But I'll just keep going and see if it holds on. So this piece, the flower is definitely going to go through an ugly stage before it gets to a pretty stage. Hopefully it does get to a pretty stage. So I think with this piece, with my flowers, I'll be channeling two people. The first one is definitely Fleur Woods. Oh, what have I done? Hang on, a little bit of a... definitely Fleur Woods with her beautiful flowers that she does, and she gets such gorgeous texture and does stitch in a lot of different fibres. And the second one that you may or may not have heard of is called Kelly May Krentz. She does a mix of things, but she does do some beautiful stitching, particularly her beadwork I love, and she also uses different fibres. And they're the two people who I've got in mind in terms of Kelly does gorgeous, gorgeous flowers, and so does Fleur. So I'd like to achieve gorgeous flowers if possible, but we'll see what happens. Got to be careful with this wool. I can feel that it's starting to thin, and so it will weaken. So in terms of stitching the big piece on, I think I'm going to gradually slow stitch, working my way from this flower out. Sorry, not slow stitch, invisible stitch. So I'm just going where there's white bits of linen and adding little stitches to hold the flowers down. So I've done this one, I might do this one next and just start going out. So even just this center might take me a little while. So it might be the only thing I work on tonight, we'll see. Ooh, it's getting really thin. Got that through. So I'm gonna do a little bit more. Couple more here, and then I'll go to a different color. I want to go to a slightly brighter orange. It's very weak. Okay, so a few more French knots. I need to get my beads out as well and see what I've got that would go along with it. Oh, there you go. See? What I told you, it would eventually go. I'm just going to pull that one back through the other side. I could use, cut that end piece off, and this bit, sorry about the noise. This bit here is stronger, so I might start with this bit. Just to finish off. I think it was that bit there. Let's just pull that back. I can even just stitch over that. I probably will end up stitching over that, but I might thread it through. I'll do it after though. Let's just get these last knots done. I wanted to do another one here. And the good thing about my wool mat under is I can push my needle down into it and it's not hitting my table, it's just going into the wool mat. here. And I'll do one more here, and then I'm going to change colours. Let's get some more variety in here. Okay. I might just use, I could even just tie this, the other thread. That will be fine. That's not going to go anywhere. Okay. So I've done that colour. That one wouldn't be too bad. It's kind of a corally orange. I might use a bit of this. Where the end is, I don't know. It's all tangled. I need to wind it up. Who knows where the end is? It's a bit of a mess, isn't it? I should do something about that. Okay, I'm gonna, oh, there it is. I was gonna say I was about to pop off the camera until I find it, but there it is. Okay. Okay, there we go. It's a little bit darker, which is exactly what I wanted. It's quite hot working on this. It's hot. It was a hot day today in Sydney. It's still hot. I've got the window open. It's getting later at night, but the window's open in front of me, which is nice. I'd say it's still maybe mid-20s at the moment. Now, I'm not going to do French knots with every single colour. I think with the pinky red, the darker one, I might just do some sort of like thread painting, and then maybe even with the yellow I could do some beading or some stitching and then beading as well. So I'm trying to get texture. That's a nice colour because it's contrasting with the lighter one. I did make this one shorter, so hopefully it doesn't break this time. All right, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to pop off the camera. I will finish the French knots in this colour, then I'll come back for the next part. Just got to be careful not to snap because it does get thin. I'll put one more in here. Okay, I'm going to pop off and come back. Okay, so I've done quite a few French knots in the two sort of orangey peachy colours. Now I'm going to focus on the little bits of yellow. I've got this yellow, it's a little bit darker than what's in the thing, but it really doesn't matter. And I thought I might do some loopy bits. So to do loopy bits, I was thinking of doing what we call turkey work. So I'm going to show you what I'm thinking. Oh, and I put it in the snap frame as well, which is keeping it nice and tight. And it meant that I could take the pins out because they were stabbing a little bit, getting in the way. Okay, so turkey work, I've just come out. I'm going to go just in next to where I've come out. And I only want these to be short. And I might leave them as loops rather than cutting them, because you can leave it as like a loop, like I'm not going to leave it that long, or you can trim it so you have like little like pom-pom kind of effect. So I'm thinking like little loops like that. And then what you do is you come up again close to where you did it, not in the same hole but close to it. That was quite long, and then you just do a little stitch. And number one, it holds it in place so your loop won't pull out. And number two, it's actually going to fill in where the yellow is because I've done a little stitch. So this is how I'll get a bit of texture in the middle here. I was trying to think of what the middle of a flower would be like, and it would often have either some kind of fluffy bit or like some stamens or something like that. Okay, so I've got to be careful. I'll pull it out with my needle in a sec. I've pulled that in a bit. Wool can be like that. It can catch on the other bit. It's coming up for my little stitch. Okay. There it is again. Do a little stitch. If I keep my finger on, it might stop them from getting pulled through. This is two little fluffy bits, and you can go any direction. I'm going all different directions. Just trying to go where the yellow is on the fabric. I have a friend, Kath Durst, who taught me how to do this, and she actually doesn't do the extra little stitch, because what she does is, say for example, she might do it in this circle here in the middle, and she just keeps sending it through, and the backs all cross over each other, and so it kind of holds it anyway. But I'm doing the stitch because it will fill in the yellow fabric with the wool texture. Okay, it's getting stiff to get through. There's a lot of stuff going on there, a lot of layers of fabric, but not just the fabric. There's lots of threads around at the back now. I might even go over and try Kath's technique. I think it might be easier because it's filling in quite nicely. I probably don't need to fill the fabric in. Okay, so I'll do this one and I'll give you a look at it. Okay, can you see it's a little bit fluffy? It's more raised than the French knots, which is what I want, different textures, different looks. Just if you're doing it without the back stitch, I'm just being careful not to pull through my little loop. This one isn't fraying as much as the other one, like coming apart and weakening. This one's still holding strong. It's a different type of wool. I guess these wools aren't exactly designed for this type of work. They're designed for knitting or crochet. But we can use just about anything in our slow stitching. Okay, what I might do again is to turn off my camera and I'll finish filling in the yellow and then I'll come back for the little red parts. Okay, I'll see you again soon. Just give you a little focus up here. My needle sticking out, but can you see the fluffiness? All right, so loopy bit's done, the turkey work, and now I've got to do the darker red bits, and I'm going, already orange bits, I'm going to use these beads. They're kind of a bright tangerine-y, glimmery orange. So the thread I normally use for beading is this silk thread, YLI silk thread. I have several of these. As long as it's a fairly pale neutral colour, it works quite well. I've got greys, light grey, I've got light aqua. It's kind of a very light off-white beigey colour. Now I have a beading needle. I'm going to try and stay on camera. I have zoomed in. I have zoomed in a lot so you can see what I'm doing. So I've already cut the thread. Now beading needles have a tiny eye that you can barely see. I was taught that if you fold, I have folded my thread over my needle, and then you put it through your eye. So see that it's come through the eye there. And then what you can do is you get the tail. This was a tip I was taught with stitching beads. And I put the tail through the little hole. Hang on, let me do that again. So I've got my little loop, and then I get my tail and I put it through my loop. Oh gosh, I've just undone it. It's a bit fiddly, but once I get there, it'll be good. Okay, I'm going through again. Okay, that time it worked. And then you pull it. And it's almost like you've got a little knot there, and your thread won't shift around. It should stay threaded. Should. Okay, so I do a normal knot, but I'll do quite a few wraps because it's such a thin thread. All right. Beading time. Okay, I'll do my best to stay on camera. If I don't get upset. It happens, especially when I'm zoomed in this much. So I'm going to come out here. There's some red down here. And you just come up through the fabric as normal. And I collect one bead at a time. So I've got one there. And then I go back down through the fabric, just next to where I came up. Oh, there's a bead. I pull it tight. Yeah, I've got a little knot thing already. Okay, and then I actually come up again through the fabric and I go through that exact same bead. So you do it twice. And what that does, not only does it secure them, but it makes sure that it sits with the side facing up, not the hole facing up. It makes it sit straight. Does that make sense? So I've gone through it again and then I just go back down. Yep, so beading takes a while, but once you get the hang of it, it goes a bit quicker. So because this takes so long, all this embellishing of flowers, I'm only doing the center tonight. And in fact, you might even find that for 3 weeks I work on this one flower, because it's definitely going to take a long time to get this whole bouquet of flowers done. During the week, I need to maybe invisible stitch the linen piece down just to hold it all in place so I don't have to have pins, and then I'll be able to move my hoop around as needed and I won't have flappy bits coming off. I thought these beads are a good colour because I'm really going with the sort of orange, yellow and sort of darker tangerine-y kind of colours, or even watermelon. I had a watermelon thread that I was thinking of using, but I think the beads will add some interest. So I just can't quite get that one. There we go, got it. And I might do one more just under here. just in there, and then I've got to add it here, 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 and all up here. So there will be quite a bit of beading. Okay, so time to turn off the camera and get beading, and then I'll come back and show you. Am I still on camera is the question. Yes, what a miracle. Okay, so I'm going to continue up through here, and I'll come back and show you when it's done. So here we go, all my beading is done, and I did a little bit of stitching just with the watermelon coloured wool, just like random all over the place, just filled in a few bits. I think it looks better than just having it all white, or actually I could probably go in there a little bit more. I might do that tomorrow. So that's it for tonight, that bit, and then I'm going to start working these leaves in the middle here I'll work on, and then I'm going to work on this, but I'm not going to do the whole thing. I'm thinking of the red, couching. I'm going to leave the pink and the pink, maybe a little bit of couching around the outside as well with the green that's coming in, and touches of red. So anyway, I hope this gives you some ideas for what you're doing, and I will see you again next week. Thanks for watching. Bye.